In 1981, a stainless steel sports car with gull-wing doors rolled off the line in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Sleek, futuristic, and backed by a former General Motors legend, the DeLorean DMC-12 was supposed to redefine the auto industry. Instead, it helped destroy its own company. Just 2 years after its launch, DeLorean Motor Company collapsed in one of the most dramatic flameouts in automotive history, leaving behind over $200 million in debt, a trail of lawsuits, and a founder facing federal drug trafficking charges. But the real story isn't just about cocaine busts or Hollywood dreams. It's about what happens when branding outpaces business logic, and when a company is built more on ego than economics. Today on Business Theory, we're unpacking the $200 million vanity project that killed DeLorean, and what every entrepreneur can learn from its flashy rise and brutal fall. To understand how the DeLorean collapsed, we have to start with the man who built it. John Z. DeLorean was once the golden boy of the American auto industry. At General Motors, he was a maverick. By the 1970s, he had been credited with creating the Pontiac GTO, revolutionizing muscle cars and pushing GM sales to record heights. But DeLorean wasn't your typical executive. He wore flashy suits, drove exotic cars, and dated celebrities. By 1973, he had walked away from GM. Some say he was pushed out, others say he left on principle. Either way, he decided to start his own car company, promising to build the ethical, safe, high-performance vehicle that Detroit refused to create. It was a bold vision, and it attracted bold investors, including celebrities, governments, and Wall Street financiers. But almost from day one, cracks were forming. Lesson 1. Charisma can raise capital, but it can't build a company. DeLorean had charm, confidence, and a compelling origin story. But his personal brand couldn't make up for the fact that he lacked experience running an entire company from scratch. Lesson 2. Vision needs constraints. DeLorean promised a car that would be fast, stylish, safe, affordable, and environmentally friendly. But no car can be all those things at once, especially not a first model. Lesson 3. Founders need focus, not fame. DeLorean spent as much time promoting his image as he did building his product. The car became a backdrop to the man, not the other way around. The brand launched before the business was ready, and that would haunt DeLorean for the rest of the company's short life. The DeLorean DMC-12 looked stunning. Designed by legendary Italian designer Giorgetto Giugiaro, it had brushed stainless steel body panels and gull-wing doors that lifted up like the wings of a spacecraft. On paper, it was the car of tomorrow. But behind the looks, the engineering told a different story. The car was underpowered, with a sluggish V6 engine that struggled to compete with sports cars in its class. It was heavy, thanks to its unique steel frame, and its handling was widely criticized. Early models were riddled with quality control issues, loose panels, faulty electronics, inconsistent assembly. Even worse, the car debuted at a price point of $25,000, significantly higher than originally promised and more expensive than a Corvette, which outperformed it in nearly every category. Lesson 4. Design can't mask deficiencies. A great-looking product still needs to deliver on its core function. DeLorean's sleek exterior couldn't make up for mediocre performance. Lesson 5. Pricing isn't just about cost, it's about value. Consumers were willing to pay for luxury or speed, but DeLorean offered neither. It looked like a Ferrari, but drove like a sedan. Lesson 6. Launching with flaws is a brand killer. First impressions matter. When buyers felt disappointed, word spread fast. DeLorean never had a second chance to win over skeptics. The car was a symbol, but it wasn't a solution. And in a crowded auto market, that's fatal. One of the most unique and risky elements of the DeLorean story was its manufacturing location. Rather than building the factory in the US, DeLorean struck a deal with the British government to build the car in Dunmurry, a suburb of Belfast, Northern Ireland. At the time, the region was in the middle of violent political unrest, known as the Troubles. Unemployment was high, and the UK was eager to stimulate economic development. The government offered DeLorean over $120 million in loans and incentives to set up shop, but the decision came with hidden costs. Most of the factory workers had no experience building cars. Training took time, labor unrest was frequent, and political pressure made it difficult to make swift operational changes. Meanwhile, DeLorean was burning through cash, struggling with production delays, and failing to hit sales targets in the US. The factory became a symbol of political hope, but a financial anchor. Lesson 7. Subsidies don't guarantee success. Government money can help launch a business, but it can't make up for poor strategy or flawed execution. Lesson 8. Operational complexity kills momentum. Building a plant overseas in a politically unstable region created more problems than it solved. Logistical issues compounded rapidly. Lesson 9. Mission must match market. DeLorean framed the plant as a humanitarian effort. But the US car buyer didn't care where it was built, only how it performed. By the time the first DeLoreans hit the US market, the company was already falling behind and had no cushion to recover. Despite the operational and financial issues, DeLorean pushed forward with aggressive marketing. The car was featured in magazines, red carpet events, and celebrity endorsements. The image was everywhere: sleek, futuristic, rebellious. DeLorean even ran TV ads framing the car as a commitment to excellence, a dramatic pitch that leaned into emotion and innovation. The problem? None of it reflected the actual product experience. Dealers were frustrated, customers were underwhelmed, the press picked apart the car's flaws. Yet DeLorean's team kept investing in perception instead of performance. They were trying to sell the dream, hoping reality would catch up. It didn't. Lesson 10. You can't market your way out of a product problem. Hype can create interest, but if the product disappoints, trust evaporates. Lesson 11. Brand equity must be earned, not assumed. DeLorean believed the brand would carry the company, but brands grow through consistency, not charisma. Lesson 12. Feedback is fuel. Instead of listening to dealers and early adopters, DeLorean's team doubled down on defending the concept. That defensiveness cost them agility. Marketing magnified the gap between the dream and the delivery, and when the dream collapsed, the backlash was swift. By late 1982, DeLorean Motor Company was on life support. Sales were far below projections, production had stalled, and the British government refused to extend more financial aid without proof of solvency. Then came the scandal that sealed the company's fate. In October 1982, John DeLorean was arrested in a hotel room by the FBI, caught on camera, agreeing to finance a $24 million cocaine deal in what he believed was a plan to save his company. He was later acquitted. The court ruled it was entrapment, but the damage was already done. Investors fled, the press pounced, and the company filed for bankruptcy shortly after. Lesson 13. Desperation leads to reckless decisions. DeLorean's alleged involvement in the drug deal came from fear, not strategy. When leaders panic, the consequences multiply. Lesson 14. Reputation is your business's currency. Even if you beat the charges, the court of public opinion is often more decisive than the legal system. Lesson 15. Transparency matters, especially in crisis. DeLorean's internal team was left in the dark. Employees learned about the collapse from newspapers. That's a leadership failure. DeLorean's fall wasn't sudden. It was a slow-motion crash, with a spectacularly public ending. Today, the DeLorean DMC-12 is a pop culture icon, thanks mostly to its starring role in Back to the Future. Ironically, the car became famous after the company had died. That legacy is complex. People remember the look, the doors, the idea. But few remember the financial ruin, the broken promises, and the chaos behind the scenes. Lesson 16. Nostalgia isn't strategy. DeLorean became legendary because of Hollywood, not because of business fundamentals. Lesson 17. Style fades, substance lasts. You can't build longevity on aesthetics alone. It's what's under the hood, literally and metaphorically, that matters. Lesson 18. Every brand is a bet. The bigger the promise, the higher the expectations. And when you miss, the fall is harder. The DMC-12 will forever turn heads. But the company behind it is a reminder that vision must be matched by discipline. So, what can we learn from the $200 million DeLorean collapse? Let's break it down. First, founding a company takes more than charisma. You need focus, humility, and operational discipline. Second, design can't replace performance. No matter how beautiful your product is, if it doesn't deliver, it won't last. Third, chasing hype without building substance is a ticking time bomb. Marketing must reflect reality, not fantasy. Fourth, desperation kills judgment. When your back is against the wall, your next move matters more than ever. And finally, every product, every brand, and every business must stand on its own, not on the image of its founder. The DeLorean didn't fail because of bad luck or media betrayal. It failed because it was never built to succeed. And that's the lesson. Because in business, as in cars, a beautiful frame with no engine won't take you anywhere.